So I turned around and when I suggested that I'd like to do this, I really was planning on doing it after somebody else's session, because I feel like I'm turning around and presenting on, how to run the Linux operating system with Linus in the room. But I'm going to go just a little bit back history on it. I listen to the Security Now podcast. That's where I first learned about Bitcoin. And I remember the guy who does that particular podcast turned around and set up the Bitcoin miner on a desktop machine at home, and overnight he turned around and solved for a coin and had 50 Bitcoins overnight. And it's like, ooh, I need to do that. And it's like, life got in the way. Here, I'm looking at everyone else. Life got in the way. I didn't get around to it. Then I come up to TechKnow, and now there's this great nifty Bitcoin ATM sitting out there, and I had 20 bucks in my pocket, and I said, I should go put 20 bucks in that thing. I maybe should get some Bitcoin. And life got in the way, and I didn't get to do it. And then Bitcoin turned into $20,000 a coin, and I'm going, that was stupid, Scott. You had so many opportunities on it. And then I started hearing about Monero, and I was thinking, I'm really not going to need to get into this. And actually, I had planned on starting doing Monero mining right over Christmas break. I said, I'll have time, I'll have it set up. Life got in the way. It was like, all right. So then John had his presentation, and I'd always been kind of thinking about it, and he showed his Blade server and stuff that he had set up. And I went and called, I have a company that I work with out of Minneapolis that sells pre-owned hardware. And I've been working with them for many years and stuff on it. And I call up and I said, hey, JC, this is what I want to do. This Blade thing looks pretty good. What do you from John's presentation, what should we do? And he went through a bunch of different things. It's like, I couldn't really find the processor I exactly wanted on it, but then he came up and said, Blade servers. It's like, well, we can do Blade servers. Well, all the Blade servers that he had ran on 240 volts, and I didn't want to have to build a new infrastructure to plug all that equipment in for it. And then he came up and said, well, we have this other little thing. It's kind of a little offshoot of it, but it's still an HP server, and it uses nodes. It's kind of like a Blade, runs on 110 volts. And the chassis said, if I would have went to go buy it 2 years ago, dirt cheap. And the problem is but now it was like $250 for the chassis, and then the blades for it, which I have here, and nothing terribly exciting on it. It's a dual processor, 12 meg L3 cache on it, 75 bucks each, and the chassis holds 8. And I don't have to worry about, it all plugs in, everything seemed great on it. And thought, all right, well, I'll go ahead and do that. So an investment of about 350 bucks. I had this box delivered to my door. And I set it up. It works fine. There's just one tiny little bit of a problem with it on my particular part. I will like to turn around and put out that if anyone wants to get into mining tonight, I'm going to go through the step-by-step instructions on what you need to do. That this box is yours for 350 bucks, the way it sets. And if you really want to be involved with it, we're going to install the OS on it. And so if you want to come up, and I'll walk you through the installation for your very own machine, so we can do that in front of it. So you'll find out in a little bit. My issue with it is it's a little noisier than I had anticipated. And I've had experience in my house where you could hear the server from every room in the house. And I thought about the garage. It would work in the garage until it got warm. So I'm probably I've looked at a little bit different solution with quieter fans on it and stuff to set up for it. Not to say that this is a bad machine. It's just if you got a nice place for it, it works out pretty well. And and it comes down to it's like you buy nodes are $75 in each, and you have to buy 2 sticks of RAM that are $5 a piece. So you're $85. And I confirmed with him last time I confirmed with him. He said that pricing. He has a bunch of these things in stock if you wanted to do that particular part of it. So that's kind of the genesis of where I got started onto it. So when John did his presentation, I asked a bunch of questions beforehand. I asked a bunch of questions afterwards. I wrote everything down on a nice little sheet of paper, and by the time I got home, the paper was missing. So we kind of worked on it. I kind of went through with it. And so what I'm going to do, what I have on here, and if you follow the bit.ly link that I have set up, and we'll have that up here on the screen. If you look on it, it's right here, the bit.ly link, okay? Right here is where you're going to have it. So bit.ly. Can't wait to see that happen. And you cut out my mumbling here. Anyway, I just went through the step-by-steps of what actually needed to do to get going. This is what I did, and feel free if anyone comes up and, by no means, I installed it with Ubuntu because I knew Ubuntu just enough to be dangerous. And I basically got the mining software up and running, and I know enough about that just enough to be dangerous. But the good news is I could show a screen, and it's like, hey, I actually have some point of a Monero coin that's coming up that today is worth about $45. So if I make enough that I can actually get my payout to actually happen on it, which is what I'm working on now, which is about 18 more days. So, and then as I go through, when I upgrade hardware, I should be able to hit that a little bit faster and stuff on it. So anyway, so the step-by-step guide, if you pulled it up here, if people who are actually here, if you pulled it up, you can follow along with what I have. It's yours to use. If you want to turn around and do it at home on your own part of it, I tried to make it as much of a step-by-step. I did leave some things out, assuming that, an installation wizard where you hit next, 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 I didn't need to go through and show the pictures of that particular part of it. So, step one is I needed a wallet. I needed some place to mine to. So it didn't matter what I did anywhere else. I needed to have a wallet IP address on it. So if I remember right, John's recommendation was the Monero wallet. It has a big orange logo on it with an M. That's the one I chose. Installation, it's underneath getmonero.org. Downloads, you could go through it, download it there for whatever platform you're running on it. And the setup was pretty straightforward. I went through next, 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 and I copied the critical information that it generated for me, basically the crypto pieces that it's based off of. I saved those away in a safe place. And then I turned around and I went and looked, and it says, down a little bottom, it says, waiting, connected, downloading, come back in 3 days. But it takes a little bit of while for it to download the blockchain. And when I actually ran out of space on my hard drive on my computer at home last night, I turned around and looked, and it's about 500 megs is what the storage is off the wallet right now. But you don't need to wait for the whole thing to synchronize before you get what you want onto it. So install the Monero wallet, and then where I found it is there's a set of menus on the left-hand side that says receive, and then there's your wallet address is sitting up at the top. And it's nice and long, and it's not fun to type in, but I've typed it in several times, and I've turned around and learned that you turn around and make the fonts in Notepad very large, and you go through every about 10 characters and go through a double check to make sure you have it all right. But once you have the key, your wallet address, then now you have a place to start when you get your massive resources on money here, that's where it comes through. And one of my things is I kind of go off on tangents every once in a while. So I started thinking about mining, and I discovered it's a lot. Have anyone ever seen the show Gold Rush on TV? And the one thing I discovered is like, man, they have to do a whole lot of work, and it's not necessarily a whole lot that shows for it, unless the timing's right. And so I kind of think it's like I'm in that part of it. Although there was another series that I haven't seen down here, but I did see in Canada called Fool's Gold. And that one was actually probably more like how I'm kind of doing it, but I'm kind of moving along on it. So anyway, first step, get your wallet, find a wallet ID. That's the first thing that you need to have set up on it. again, in the wallet ID, I installed it. It had this really nice, promising thing that says, "Hey, do you want to mine Monero in the background?" And I said, "Well, yeah." Flipped it on and says, "Well, I'm sorry, we don't have the whole blockchain set up yet, so I can't turn it on until we download it." But when I finally got to turn it on, I was impressed with a whopping 14 hashes a second. And it basically turned around, I think it said, "Good luck on when you're going to get anything on it," I think is what it kind of came up with it. But I left it on. I figured, what else was my machine going to do on it? Hardware-wise, or software OS, that was the next decision to have on it. Options-wise, I work with Ubuntu a little bit with web servers and stuff with schools I work with. I am proficient enough to know how to install it and work on a few different things on it. And it was what I was familiar with it. So I decided to go through and I downloaded Ubuntu server, and 16.04 is the version that I did. It's a long-term release, supposedly be supported for a long time, and that's what I downloaded and set up for it. And I found is just I would go through the installer step by step. I didn't select any options. It's just the minimal installation on the options is all I went through on it, and got everything up. And I'm going to walk through it all here with you in a little bit on it. I actually had a hard drive that I stuck in this machine and installed to it because it was like, well, that just felt like what I was going to do. My coworker, who I was talking about what I was going to do, got into it, and he discovered that you can just install it to the same flash drive you install it from onto that flash drive, so then you don't need any hard drives on the hardware. It eliminated some of the complexities about having to worry about PXE booting and some other things that I set up for it. It was simple for me to set up on it. There might be some other options further down in the future on it, but that's what I'm doing right now on it. Then I turned around and I Googled, how do you install XMR Stack on Ubuntu off Google? And there's a cryptocurrencyfreak.com. That really sounded like that would be the best resource on it. And it was really good. And I followed the directions, modified them. I had to do several, adding some sudos into their command structure to get everything to work on it. But I basically, we were able to get it up and running through that particular part, did the installation, joined a mining pool. So it's like I'm helping, everyone's kind of working together on solving it. So my machine, I'm not necessarily, I'm helping create it, but I don't necessarily know if the chances of me actually creating the coin myself, it all goes to the pool. But I'm seeing that I'm getting results all the time versus having to hash on your own, and this machine probably just, I might not ever see it, I guess, is my understanding on it. So, and so had all that set up, and lo and behold, pull up a website, and it's like, hey, you started getting some you can start seeing that I was adding blocks to it, or the percentage of things to it. And I'll show you that screen and explain that here when we get to it and stuff on it. And ultimately, I'll show you how to monitor and stuff on it. So questions at this point in time, and I'm making the best possible things of everything on it. So my preparedness level is about 30%, and I'm doing a live presentation, which everyone knows how well they go and stuff on it. So what I'm going to do is transition and pop this blade into the chassis, and I think I have power to it. I got a green light on the power supply, and my apologies for the noise that this might create. All right, so blade, I'm going to hook my VGA cable up to it here. Oh, the one thing I didn't say is there's a program that I found that's on the instructions called Rufus. And so when you download Ubuntu, it comes as a .iso file. And so you either would have to burn it to a CD. Rufus will basically make a USB drive bootable. So if you don't have a CD drive in the machine, which this one doesn't, I can put it on a flash drive. So that was fairly straightforward. The installation was fine. I just turned around and say, download Ubuntu, pick Ubuntu, what drive do you want to save it to, and it works okay. All right, USB and keyboard. And remote. How did we switch this back to? Let's see.
Is it on?
Matt, it's a cameo.
It is now. And now, this is how jet engine starts. Oh. This is low speed. It hasn't got to the... And it'll go back down, so. Now the other thing I discovered is because the box was designed to have 8 nodes, and because of the way I have it set up, I plugged it into node 8, or slot 8, is that there's like a time, I think there's a time delay on each one of them, so I put it in the one that would take absolutely the longest to actually boot. But there's some heat problem. There's the way it's set up, I had to set that part of it up. No. It takes about a minute or two. So I was told this is one of the other little glitches. Once it boots up, it's fine, but it has a time delay, so they don't all the blades don't boot up at the same time. The internal controller powers them up individually. Or it has a time delay on slot 8. This is where we put the time, where they turn around and fast forward over things on it. So I should look like I'm going really fast. No, the blade doesn't, once the power supplies are in, then all the power is handled off on the blade. So here we go. It'll quiet down. All right, as long as I don't lean over. Yeah, let's see if we got anything. Is there a... Hello. Well, I know it took like about 2 minutes for it to get through the post configure, before the post window showed up.
Well, this thing's USB power. That's why I plugged in the USB power at home. I'm sure I have a generator.
Are you thinking that's Marvel hero? Captain Obvious?
Oh, maybe this doesn't work.
Like I said, technology, live demo, and it's like... Still blue. All right, so...
Matt, take pictures.
Okay, so I can try... All right, So if anyone's ever seen Ubuntu installed before, you basically go through, answer all the questions, and then there's a last screen that says, what additional things would you like to install? And you basically don't change anything. I think there's like a base tools you leave installed and leave everything else off on it. So
You have an idea?
we have an idea.
All of a sudden, man, I haven't seen him go move that fast.
All right, I got a monitor here.
The room got brighter. I can't see it.
All right.
Got one out.
If you want to come back around this way on the monitor here. All right, so it's asking me what language. I'm going to say English. If I hit the right keyboard. Install Ubuntu server. English, United States. No, don't want to select keyboard. Yeah, click, click, click. Just trying to find a CD-ROM drive.
We got a whole hour left.
Whole hour left. This is quality video, I'm going to tell you. I can't think for the reason why I didn't want this recorded.
Hey, learn, teach, grow. Learn, teach, grow.
Yep.
The next presentation will be better because of your fault.
Yeah, but it'll be easier because the next one I'm working on, it's like there's no screens.
Is that a close to a computer?
More physical. All right, so what Ethernet adapter? I got to figure out if we get a DHCP address. 26%, 30. It might take some time, it says. 46, 50, 53. Uh-oh, network auto configuration failed.
That's all.
Do I want to retry or do I want to configure manually?
You do it one more time before you come to the thing.
You know what it could be? Always ensure you plug in the Ethernet cable. That was an ID 10 plus error.
Take it down, bring it back up.
All right, host name, I'm just going to leave it at that.
What's that? You can't see.
Ubuntu. Full name of new user. XMR. Gold. XMR Gold. Oh, I should go back. I'm going to forget that. Do you want to use a weak password? Because I'm going to, yeah, we're going to, oh, why did I do that? Based on your current physical location, it thinks we're in Chicago. It's detecting disks. And Oh, sure, it worked before. Okay. This is the part that I hadn't tested before, but my coworker turned around and did it 5 or 6 times, installing Ubuntu to the flash drive you're installing from. Me, no, it says I can't find the... I can't find the disk. So, plan B is...
Just talk about it.
Once it's installed, basically, okay, once you have it installed, then what I did, and like I said, I'll give credit to on the part of it, the cryptocurrency freak site, and it worked fine up until April 6th, and then all of a sudden, all my machines quit mining. It was at that point in time I discovered that I'm running on a really old version, and when they forked Monero to a different version to prevent the hardware accelerated mining things to not be able to mine, I had to figure out how to break it or how to fix it. And ultimately what it was is I just had to change the name of where the repository was, and I was able to follow the instructions to go through with it. So the next set of instructions that I have on the part of it, where after you have your Ubuntu set up, you know, basically go out and you have to install a handful of components. Get Nano, those are kind of important on it, and there's a list of other ones that are required to let that XMR stack program to be able to install. It's the first time I compiled a program for Linux, so it basically, though, it was just following the step-by-step directions. You know, it basically said, here, change to this directory, run this utility, and I get all the way through with it. And when I finally get done to the point, it's like, you know, sudo /.xmr stack, hit enter, and it comes up and it starts saying, hey, I'm new installation, I'm ready for setup on it. And just another wizard to walk through on questions on it. So the big questions is, what's your wallet IP, what's your wallet address on it? And many times I have sat with computer over here, my wallet IP address blown up really big, and I've manually typed it in, and I looked and I double checked it because it's like, what happens if I don't type it in right? Am I going to get any indication on it? Am I going to be mining for somebody else? But it's all worked. It's all been good. What I've learned recently is that I just basically, the easiest thing for me is I went and FTP'd my configuration to a server. And so now I go through all the configuration wizard steps and I've just put in whatever I want. Then I bring over my configuration file off the FTP server on a new installation on it. It saved that to be a whole lot better on it. I haven't mastered how to copy and paste inside of Nano and how to get things over to it when it was set up for it. So that's what I ended up coming through on that particular part of it. Other question is it'll ask you, it's like the new version says, well, what coin do you want to mine? So the XMR Stack software actually will let you mine several different types of coin. And so, you know, we're having a discussion at the office with my coworker about what's the best thing to do. He's kind of thinking that there's a lot of coins that are easy to mine, so you get a lot of coins. They're not worth a whole lot. And would it make more sense to mine those where you get a lot of, you can see some instant gratification, or stick with Monero? And I've been kind of sticking with Monero. He's been bouncing around a little bit on what he's been doing on it. And that part of it, you know, I guess I'm thinking, everything I hear on the news now is Monero on you know, the people who are putting in cryptoware on machines for hacking and stuff. It's Monero. It's Monero on the web browsing interfaces and stuff on it. So, you know, it just sounds like that's the kind of the place to be on it. So, but where to mine is after you choose if you're going to mine Monero, then join a pool. And through John's recommendation, nanopool.org is where I set things up on it. And there's a help that will walk you through That's to be a list of all the pools that they have. I picked like US West pool. You basically type in the URL xmr-us-west1.nanopool.org and colon, and you have to put in the port number 14444. And once that's set in there, it knows what setting, how to function on it. The big glitch that I had when I was doing it is that it all looked like it was mining. I was able to go to the Nanopool website to see my statistics, and it shows I was mining on it. But the directions were saying, you know, it's the first payout, so you have to mine 1 Monero before they're going to send you money. So they're going to hold on to all your work until you have 1 Monero, but you can adjust it. And so the directions say is once you have a worker set up, it should take 10 minutes to a half an hour. You should see your worker down on the bottom, and if you put if you put your email address on it, you'll be able to go and adjust it. Well, I never saw my workers for a long time. And I had to go back and look and found that the XMR stack tells you put your wallet address here, and then there's like a machine ID in a different field and an email field or password field someplace else. What you have to do is with your wallet, where you put your wallet address, you have to put a period, then you put your host name at the end of the wallet address, and then slash and an email address. And the email address becomes your password into the interface for their where you can turn around then and set your payout options on it. So after I figured out that part of it, it's like, okay, now I can see this, and that's all working okay on it. So, and then it's like, okay, cool, I got something on here. You see the first little bit, and it's like, okay, how much do you have? And it's like 0.0000231. And it's like, cool, how long is that going to take? You know, and honestly, it's like, you know, if you're thinking you're going to get rich quick, it's kind of like the people in Gold Rush or whatever as well. It's like, you know, you kind of get gold fever, but the reality of it is I'm kind of looking at now, seeing what happened with Bitcoin. It's like, you need to hang on to it. I don't want to be that chump who turned around and spent 20,000 Bitcoins to have a pizza delivered to his house, and when it was worthless, to turn around and know that that's now the most expensive pizza ever purchased. So, you know, what I've done is I just made the assumption. It's like, okay, $20,000 times how much do I have in a percentage of Bitcoin? It's like, well, that looks a whole lot better here. So I have my hope set that it'll hit 20,000 sometime in my lifetime. So, you know, I look at it from a long-term standpoint. You know, it's not necessarily, I'm not looking at being able to cash in and be able to next week be able to pay for the machine that I've been working on it. I'm not pulling any money out. It's something that is like, I'm trying to collect it now when it's cheap, because that's what I would have did. If I would have started mining Bitcoin on the CPU back when I first heard about it, I could have been pretty well off. If I would have stuck $20 or $40 in the Bitcoin ATM here, I still would have been pretty good off if I would have held on to it. You know, it's like, or what was that TV show, Big Bang Theory, and they lost it, and Stewart ends up formatting it and sells the coin for $10. So, or the USB thing for $10 on it. So, I think it's worthwhile. Let me switch back to the main monitor here, and I probably do want to talk about one other thing if that will work. How do I do that?
There you go. Sasquatch back on camera.
Oh, the cool thing is after you have it installed and I have it running in a terminal window, you press H and it'll tell you how many hashes per second on each of your CPU's cores that you have on it. So you kind of have instant gratification on what kind of comes up and says, okay, yep, and that's how I know that this machine does about 475 hashes a second on it.
Projector went to sleep though.
Now the other cool thing is, okay, so when the very first machine I set up, I have a VMware ESXi server at home that I run my web server. There's some things I do there that I have set up for it. So it's like, my first thought is, well, let me set it up there. I don't have any hardware. And so it hashes about 180 hashes per second on it. And I found out that I optimized it. The first time I put in, and it's like, well, I got 12 cores. I'm going to turn around and use all 12. And it was dismal. And I found out for some reason on VMware ESXi, 3 processors seems to be the sweet spot on it. If I put in more, my total hashing drops. If I put in less, 3 seems to be the number that I kind of came up with it. All right, so let's see if I remember this part of it. Can I free? Oh. Can I like freeze the screen or something? Is there a projector mute? All right, well here. One thing I did, the other thing I found out that is that the machine at home, as far as the website concerns, it can't keep up with.
I have no idea what it does, though. Probably screen freezes. Just freezes. So you type his password without seeing it?
Yeah.
I don't think it does what you think it does.
All right, and I don't have, all right.
Okay, I can do this.
Well, okay, so now never mind. I'm trying to log into my server.
I'll log in. Nobody can see it.
Yeah, it's not screen recording.
No, I have the address wrong. That's
I had a keylogger on the front machine anyways. Yeah, and the security camera behind you.
It's all being live streamed to the internet.
Oh, I think it's maybe. You know, really bad when you don't remember your email password. And no, it's not that I can't see. I have retinal unlock on my phone, and here I am. I'm babbling, and the reality of it is that somebody took the longest presentation away from me, and so that's really what this all is about, right? Yeah. Oh, come on. So, I guess it's here. All right. What? How can my email address be wrong? All right. Fosseen, yes. Scott Fosseen, yes.
Yeah, we might need that little tester thing to make sure the IR still works on it.
Uh-oh, there's an IRL in
Matt!
Always count on that.
So much for multitasking.
Everybody get a picture?
All right. Well, I did. I'm trying to bring up my link that has my wallet key into it, so I can show you my main screen on it. So,
Private key?
no, my wallet address.
Can you give us an example of your private key?
Yeah, I really can. It's all right. So launch. All right. Come on, inbox. All right, here we go. Remember the part I said that, you know, typing it in?
You want to turn it back on?
Yeah, sure.
You sure? I got trouble for a while.
No one can see it, but people hear that. It's fine.
Table border equals 1. There's some green on that. It's props. I still think we should try the table border equal and bring it back.
I think so too. Bring it back.
I mean, the t-shirt and I actually bring it back. That'd be horrible.
I'll bring it actually bring it back.
No, you're not.
Oh, that's why.
As long as you get up border.
I just do it as a diff.
Did you strap your cable in, dude?
You're a weirdo. Actually, I wrote my TR and do it.
The whole thing wrapped in a center.
What else?
Nothing, John.
All right, you ready? 46 XD6.
Old John script fix it all.
That's right. Do it in PHP, you know, that sends me the screen resolution when.
Six.
Sign it.
So the weed wars more specifically on Tornado. I want to be anonymous, but not.
Yeah, I don't really want to check my Facebook.
Yeah. Well, we know who Tornado that belongs to now. Tor, that wasn't run by the government. This started never called me on the
One.
It's called IT. No, not Thor.
All right, did I get it right? Woohoo! That is how you manually type in your wallet. All right, so I'm assuming that this error is up here because I changed some host name. I couldn't remember what it was, so it still thinks I have a host that's out there that's not mining because I have the wrong version on it. So this is the other screen that I kind of look at, or that you'll want to come back to. Now the really cool thing is like I was saying, my virtual machine, sometimes it takes more than 30 minutes for it to send in a result. And so then Nanopool thinks that it went offline, so it sends me an email with the link to this site. So that's why I was trying to get in my email, because I have all these links saying, your worker went offline, click here to look at it. So I don't normally have to type this in, and I don't have it bookmarked or anything on it. So this is my results from all the machines on it. I have a few things set up on it. This hash rate, the things that show up on here are calculated. So they aren't necessarily, if you in the XMR stack actually press H and you get, that number seems to be pretty consistent on all my machines, like 480, 490 on this machine. That seems pretty consistent. This will jump up and down at times on it, so but that's not too terribly bad on it. Balance, so this is how much I have right now. I did set the payout to 0.3, so as soon as I hit 0.3, I'll get this money will be transferred to my wallet. But if you hover over it, it'll tell you based off of current exchange rates, it's $46.60 some cents. You can see that. And if I click on this line right here, it says I'm about 15 days away from a payout. So that's set up for it. The line here, this is the chart over the last 12 hours. This is your average with the peaks of how much is mined total on it. And this can be extended out if you want to see it over time. It was really exciting. 2 weeks ago, the power flickered off at house and all my machines shut off and I couldn't get them turned back on. So it was like everything dropped down for a while on it. So, and I have 4 workers currently set up on it. And if I wanted to drill down into, this is the closest to this machine here. It's calculating 420 hashes a second. And if I come back here and look at it, here's the payout. So it's about 0.1 XMR, which is a Monero coin, about 0.1 a month. So to get a payout, then it's about 3 months is what that would set up. And that would be the equivalent of just the one blade that's installed in here on that part of it. So, questions? Do I still have less than how much more time do I have left?
You got 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Talk on.
All right. So if you come up here to the help screen, the important part of it is don't follow the instructions in XMR stack. This is the one here. Now the question is, okay, so I had to have the email address in to be able to set the payout. So legally, should I pull out the email address? How critical is it that somebody knows my email address on this part of it? And that question I don't know.
Critical.
Yeah, I mean, I would use one that you use a lot, I guess.
Okay. See, so I should have had a burner email on that part of it.
Yeah, or.
Okay. Well, that's what I used. I used a fake one. Yeah.
ASDF.com.
Yeah, whatever. Guess. Good, everyone else.
It's a Yahoo address. Those are safe, right? So 1%, the nano pool gets 1% of all the money that's made off of it. And also the XMR stack is by default configured for 2%. And what it is 2 minutes out of every 100 minutes, you're mining for XMR stack, the software company who wrote the software. And at compile time, you can modify that number to something else at compile time of that program if you chose to give them more money or less.
Or less.
It's video. I want to make sure you know. It's like, hey, you guys are great. So, and then down here is like the different pools and stuff on it. Now, what I don't have set up is I probably should also maybe set up like a backup pool or mining to 2 pools in case one goes down. Knock on wood, I haven't had that particular part yet. And the new configuration is pretty easy to set that part of it up on how that part of it works. So that's that part of it. All right, so what could I do better? I don't know. Anyone have any suggestions or something on it? Like I said, it was.
How long do you think it would take you to pay off that device if I were to buy everything in
I actually know the answer to that. John, what's the answer to that? It is about 9 months.
Say 9 months
Hmm?
really loud. Say 9 months.
9 months?
Yeah.
9 months.
9 months, okay, great, thanks.
9 months the way it sits, but you add $100 to it, and you could cut that in half because you just add another blade. So, it'll hold.
Talk to them, not me, I don't want.
Yes, this is going to be very awkward.
Do you have plans to expand more, or are you going to keep it where you're at?
I think I'm not going to go hold on. I mean, I'm not looking at spending tens of thousands of dollars in this. I think realistically, it's like the lottery. I'm looking at it like the lottery. And when I took statistics class, I understood there's no absolute. So if you don't buy a lottery ticket, there still is a chance that you could win the lottery.
What?
A very slim chance. I mean, you could be walking down the road, hey, there's a lottery ticket. You could pick it up and it could be the winning lottery ticket. But that $1 or $2 investment, your chances of winning have an exponential growth to like phenomenal amount. But then anything after that, it's not very much. So, you know, just enough to turn around and make sure at least, you know, the thing is too, is like, all right, so I'm 2/3 of the way into getting the payout. Well, it'd be stupid for me to stop now. I mean, I need to at least get to that part of it. And, you know, from a power consumption standpoint, the other box that I have that's similar to this, I put a kilowatt on it, and I was running, it runs about 120 watts of power idle. So sitting at idle, it's 260 watt light bulbs in the house. It's like, well, that's not too bad. When it's mining, it jumps up to 260 watts. Still not terribly bad on that particular part of it. I don't want to get to a point to where, you know, my basement's warm all the time on it, and, you know, I'm really kind of considering about, you know, if I could turn around and look at my power bill and go, yeah, that's all my mining on it, I think I might be going a little bit overboard. But then again, you know, whoever goes out and starts to mine gold and think, you know, yeah, I got enough. So that's kind of what my consideration is on it, is just enough to kind of see where we're at. I mean, even a couple could turn, you know, a couple coins at a certain time might be worthwhile something, and another 5 or 10 years might be worthwhile to turn in something on it. Then again, it could go down the toilet, and, you know, it's still kind of a gamble, I think.
So this machine you said does about 500 hash?
Yeah, this machine's just under 500 the way it sits, and each additional $100 will add another 500 to it. I mean, it's,
Yeah, so I mean, your main cost is really in your blade chassis, and then your blades are pretty cheap after that.
yeah, and so what happened was, and I don't know if I said this at the beginning, so the company that I bought this from, what ends up happening, they sell surplus equipment on it. This has a pair of 1200 watt power supplies on it. And 2 years ago, they were selling those power supplies for like $30, $40 a piece. Today, Russia's buying them by the pallet loads, and so they're getting $200 a piece for the power supplies on them now. And they don't have, you know, finding the power supplies is the expensive part of the whole process on it.
That's HP, right?
Well, and they sell HP, they sell Dell, they sell Sun.
What you got there is
This one's an HP, yes. So, so that's really the biggest expense part. It isn't, the chassis isn't necessarily that expensive, it's the fact that the power supplies are in it, and they're kind of a commodity at this point in time on it. So
right now the chassis would be expensive with the power supply, or the chassis would be inexpensive, but the power supplies would be really expensive.
yeah. So
My next question was going to be, have you thought about building a couple of those all the way out and trying to sell them on eBay? Install the OS, set it all up, you know, a couple of steps, and then.
That server's no longer available. No, I meant on eBay.
no, I hadn't. We can maybe discuss that part. So the question was, had I considered, you know, going into business selling these part of it? And I kind of wondered because I saw somebody on Facebook selling their mining equipment, which was more of a ASIC-based Bitcoin thing, I think, on it at one time. So, yeah, so it was just, mostly I was trying to figure out, yeah, there could be a part of it on it, but then again, if I could teach people how, well, maybe I'm selling myself short. So if you'd like to turn around and purchase one of these units fully loaded.
eBay/Scott Fosseen.
Oh man, the FBI is going to be knocking on my door tomorrow, I know it. So, questions or anything, other questions on it, so. Like I said, what I got into is like, you know, it's like, so now at least I know I'm to a point where I was able to get something to work, and it's coming through. And did I learn from some of my mistakes? A little bit. Is there more to learn? Yeah, I think so. You know, is this going to be, am I going to make a lot of money from this? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. It might be actually the sales might be more lucrative than the actual mining part of it, so.
You gotta hook up the power supplies.
Okay. So, yes.
Why are you running a VM?
Oh, at home? These I run straight off of Ubuntu without VM on it.
Yeah.
So, at home it was, you know, my VMware infrastructure uses only 5 to 10% CPU load on it. to run everything else. It's memory that I needed onto it, so I had more than enough memory to run the servers that I run at home. And it was easy. I was like, okay, upload I already had my Ubuntu iOS image there. It was like mount the image, build a machine with 3 processors, 2 gigs of RAM, boot it up, run through the steps. And I didn't have to worry about hardware kind of things on it. You know, if it goofed up, I could blow it away. When I saw that, it's like, oh look, I built this machine and I got up to about 40% CPU utilization inside of VMware. It's like, well, let me clone this and maybe I can use the other 80%. I cloned it and then both of them dropped, so I was still using, you know, I mean, I didn't get any more hashes with 2 machines as I did with 1.
I don't know anything about VMware. Maybe anybody, anybody. Are the CPUs in VMware emulated? So for example, in KVM, we can actually do a CPU pass-through. So I can say, I want CPU and these particular ID CPUs pass through to the OS. Is there an option like that for VMware?
I suspect there is. I didn't turn that particular part of it on. I didn't turn that particular part of it on. Mostly it was just like, all right, I need to play around a little bit with it, and that was just an easy way I could just sit at my desk and do everything with it. Because I had a remote console to it. I didn't have to worry about where am I going to get power from and Ethernet. I wouldn't know anything about that. Now, I do have an interesting theory. Is maybe you should run crypto mining on virtual machines so you can monitor what the CPU utilization is, so that if you had machines that were compromised, you would be able to turn around and notice like, oh.
I mean, you know, you can't know how fast the high-performance car goes when she's going 100 miles an hour down the road.
So, anyway, well, I thank you much for the ability to turn around and present to everybody here. I don't know if I made the record yet here, so, but I'm babbling here. Nope.
Get a few hours.
No one's going to be Sean Johnson.
So, all right. Thanks, everybody.